can you tell us about Jalen Williams?
Malika, All-NBA Oklahoma City Thunder star Jalen Williams has agreed to a 5-year maximum rookie contract extension worth up to $287 million. His agents, Bill Duffy and Justin Haynes at WME Basketball, told me. So that means Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, J-Dub, all under contract together through the rest of the decade. As they enter the primes of their career, they're not even technically in their prime. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 26. You have J-Dub being 24, Chet Holmgren, 23. Wow. All maxed out, all under contract through the rest of the decade, up to 287 for J-Dub, but in total here, $822 million in projected extensions for these 3 players. This is their core 3 guys moving forward.
Yeah.
This is about to be their 3rd straight season as a non-tax paying team.
Yep.
But clearly, the bills are going to keep getting higher. They're going to be entering the 1st and 2nd apron starting in a couple seasons now.
Right.
But this is their core 3. These are the players that are committed. That word commitment is big in Oklahoma City. These 3 players being committed to being there for the long haul.
I don't know if I've seen $822 million of anything. I don't know if I've seen blades of grass, pennies. That is a whole lot of money right there. And it's not going to kick in immediately, but you're talking about having 3 max players in the era of the dreaded 2nd apron. How does this work, Bobby? Because you told me not to be afraid. Everything you've told me is numbers like this is what teams are trying to avoid.
I think the biggest thing is that there's 3 players 26 years or older, or younger. They're not 3 that are in their mid-30s here. I think when you look at Oklahoma City, certainly there's the off the court. They're getting a new arena in 2028. We have a new television deal here, potentially expansion in a few years. So the revenue stream is going to be coming in. And then you look at the resources they have, the potential of 4 first-round picks next year to maybe offset some of these contracts. Sam Presti's done a terrific job staggering money here. Listen, 2 years from now, we might see a little bit of a different iteration of this roster, but like we saw with the 90s Bulls, yes, Jordan and Pippen were there during those 6 championships, and I think we're going to see that with these 3 players here for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and I think they have a culture, so you understand that those 3 guys are going to be there, and you continue to build around those guys in the future. But the thing is, when you walk in that locker room, you understand you got to be 4 feet in. You can't be halfway in, you can't be halfway out. You got to be 4 feet in. This is these guys' team. They have created that cornerstone. They have created that in OKC. So when you walk in that locker room, nothing changes. So even though the pieces around them are probably going to change in the future, I think they have a culture. I think they have things built and things in the right place for them.
One of the things that was so impressive, Shams, about this team is that it's so clear that every guy on this roster, even though they are young, knows exactly what their role is, what their space is in this pecking order, if you will.
It's a special team, and this core, particularly with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams, they're so connected. They all celebrate each other's success. Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, they both have the same agent, Bill Duffy. So Sam Presti and that Thunder organization working with Bill Duffy over the last week or so, reaching agreement on 2 separate extensions. Yesterday, Chet Holmgren up to $250 million, and now today, Jalen Williams up to $287 million. So those negotiations were about as smooth, I think, as you could probably have under the circumstances. This is big business that went on after becoming the 2nd youngest team ever to win a championship. When you have results like that,
yeah,
this is what comes with it. These 3 guys have done something that, you think about over a decade ago. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, that whole core, they got close. They couldn't push through. This group did push through. And what you're going to see now is these guys stay together, and they have dozens of first-round picks. Bobby has all of them.
14.
I don't have to speak to it. They've got all those first. They have, and think about the guys like Aaron Wiggins. Think about guys like Isaiah Joe,
right,
Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams on their bench. Those are the types of guys where, as you see the roster potentially shift in 2-3 years, not those 3, but other guys, you see other players stepping in on contracts that you already have under team control.
I'm just hoping as they celebrate with each other here, they've learned from their run to the championship, and now they can pop bottles just a little bit easier, because we saw them struggle just a little bit after they won the title. So the Oklahoma City Thunder, their core is set. The Milwaukee Bucks, though, they still have questions as the summer progresses here, because another big teams will be here competing at the Thomas and Mack Center. A look at this rookie class. The first game tips off in just about 30 minutes, and NBA Today is here to get things started. Here's a look at Cooper Flagg, just a few hours away from his debut, warming up on the court here in Vegas a little earlier this morning. We will have his game for you right here on ESPN. As we say hello to Vegas basketball in July, Bobby Marks, what number summer league is this for you?
Number 29.
Number 29 for Mr. Marks, our elder summer league statesman over here, Udonis Haslem, who has played in these games. Our senior insider, Sharpe.
12 for me.
12 for you, 9 for me.
22.
22 for you, D. We're going to get a look at Jeremiah Fears, at Derek Queen, as well as Sharon Tanitz Jr., Rob Dillingham. That game tips off behind us in just about 30 minutes between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Minnesota Timberwolves here. But of course, this crowd that's already actually pretty impressive is going to be a whole lot bigger when Cooper Flagg suits up at 5 o'clock local time tonight for the Dallas Mavericks when they're in action here. If you wanted to get a ticket, Udonis, for that game, I hope you already did, because they are pricey. If you want to get into the building, it'll cost you an average of $205 for today's session. That's just outside the top 5 for a single day at Vegas Summer League here. I'm hearing great things, by the way, gentlemen, coming out of the Dallas Mavericks camp. Bobby, I don't know what you've heard about Cooper and his post-draft process here. They've been really impressed, especially with his outside shooting.
Well, that's the big thing. I think defensively, we know what he can do as far as impact the game here, and it's the unknown as far as the ability to kind of stretch the floor. Because a lot of what happened at Duke this year is kind of like a European team, where everyone had to sacrifice, and maybe some of the things that were not showcased this year. And I know, talking with people from the Mavericks, they are through the moon as far as what we could potentially see in Cooper Flagg.
Through the moon, to the roof, to the moon.
Does that even make sense?
I'm not sure it does, but when Cooper is coming to Cooper Flagg, it doesn't have to make sense. That's the level of talent that we're talking about here, Udonis. Expectations when you're talking about Summer League, it's a little bit tricky, right? Because we see excellent players not necessarily have an amazing first showing. What are you hoping to see from Cooper Flagg in this first viewing?
Well, the expectations are a little bit different for different people in different situations. My expectations for Summer League, I had to open eyes. I had to come in, I had to get numbers, I had to turn heads. When I look at a situation like Cooper Flagg, I look at what he's able to do on the basketball court, and I say, you don't want to look at his numbers. You don't want to, per se, look at the stat sheet at the end of the night. You want to look at how comfortable he is. You want to put him in different situations. You want to maximize his minutes when he's on the court. You want to make sure he's comfortable. You want to see what he's not comfortable doing. You want to get in that film room. You want to work on those weaknesses. So for me, this is like a trial for Cooper Flagg to see what he maximizes and what his strengths are.
I'm always interested in seeing exactly like the big moment. I remember seeing Zion Williamson a few years ago, and he just like would snatch the ball away from players. Like, I think it was Kevin Knox. He just snatched it right out of his hand. Like, I think Cooper Flagg is capable of making those like eyeball plays where it's just it blows you away.
Yeah, it certainly can be eye-popping when you watch Cooper Flagg. Something that certainly made me do a double take. Can I tell you all a quick story? We land yesterday at the airport here in Las Vegas, right? And I'm going over to carousel number 16 to gather my bags and get set for this trip here. And I look across the way, and there is the entire Dallas Mavericks team who flew commercial here, including Cooper Flagg, waiting like the rest of us to grab his bag off of the carousel with his teammates. He did get a first-class seat on the flight, but again, usually we're not used to seeing these guys in that sort of environment. And for Cooper, he kind of has just taken this I'm every man approach, but when he's on the floor, it's out of this world in a lot of ways. And I'm curious if we're going to see him playing point guard at all tonight here, Bob.
That's what I've circled. That's what I'm most interested to see, because we saw Jason Kidd when Cooper was introduced in his press conference come out and say, we're going to throw him into the fire here in this Lakers game, and we're going to have him play a little bit point guard. And I think that's going to be important, because Summer League is all about experimenting as far as putting in guys in uncomfortable positions, especially for a Mavericks team that will not have Kyrie Irving to start the season. They recently signed D'Angelo Russell. I'm intrigued to see Cooper Flagg with the ball in this game later today.
Certainly, it's the lottery picks that all of us have our eyes on, but also this is a time for guys who maybe were undrafted, who aren't necessarily on a roster spot yet, to prove themselves to general managers around the league. That's kind of one of my favorite parts about this. It's the first action and the biggest action for a lot of these guys in their career.
Guys land contracts from what we see in these games, and they have a massive UD being probably one of the major ones that's had a championship level impact. But this is a great place when you see players stand out and players get 2 ways off these deals, partial guarantees, and they end up being players that make factors come regular season. But Malika, honestly, what I look at, you have it's a melting pot what's going on in Vegas right now. You have agents, you have team execs, you have team owners all on site here we see on camera, some of them meet on camera, but there's so many behind-the-scenes meetings that take place. The NBA's moratorium is over, so guys are now officially able to sign. They're able to meet with teams, and I think a lot of that happens in back hallways of hotels and in back, rooms, restaurants, and things like that. So that's what I have also got my eye on as well, and there's still could be a lot of movement in the league.
This is when I start singing Hamilton, right? We're in the room where it happens when we're here in Las Vegas.
Well, to be a good company man, this is Disneyland in the NBA version.
Right.
If you want to come to Disneyland for the NBA, come to Las Vegas for the next 10 days.
29 years in a row, like Mr. Marks has over here, but it doesn't mean that news around the association has stopped here. In fact, just
các bạn sẽ cắt mỗi bên là 3 đường vào trong này. Thì mình sẽ lắp chéo phần này vào. Ở phần này các bạn cũng sẽ gấp tương tự cho mình nhé. Tiếp theo đến phần bên này các bạn